Well, the Western Cape has seen the most significant increase, if you will, in the number of people who were killed on the roads over the festive season. Let's speak now to the province's MEC for Mobility, that's Ricardo Mackenzie. A very good evening to you, MEC. Good to have your time. So 164 people have died in the Western Cape, as you've now confirmed. Why are we seeing an increase at a time when every province has been trying, in fact, to shore up its interventions to have the opposite effect as far as this data is concerned and the number of people who do die over the holidays?
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me this evening. We are concerned. We have seen on provincial road a decline of 11%, but on our municipal road, we've seen a massive increase in fatalities on our roads. It's a big concern for us, to all of us in the Western Cape, and it has related, as your introduction by the Minister, to driver behaviours. We've seen continued irresponsible behaviour by drivers on our road throughout the festive season. And despite our efforts, despite consistently increasing our law enforcement and traffic office operations on the Western Cape roads throughout the festive season, we've seen, as you indicated in the start of the introduction of your show, drivers issued with fines, drinking and driving, jaywalking, pedestrians, which in our province has seen 50% of fatalities in the Western Cape were pedestrians, which previous years it was not so high. This year it was massive increase in pedestrian deaths on a road.
It suggests to me that then the problem is not one that will be fixed or solved by increased law enforcement and monitoring. Am I right?
That's the thing. What we've done based on previous numbers, because we used data analytics from the previous year. So if the previous year there was an accident between Beaufort and Leysburg, we've allocated our resources to that specific area to avoid or try and prevent at least a crash on that road. But what we've now seen, that has moved to pedestrians. So despite the fact that we use data looking over the last few years, because the Western Cape has been consistent in reducing numbers, that has now moved onto the roads. People are now walking and drinking and not drinking and driving as much based on the previous data as they did many years ago. And that is a big concern for us. So our focus, obviously, will now need to root that, because we looked at the focus of the last few years and used the allocation of resources to that. So we used data of the last few years, we allocated our traffic officers, we allocated our resources, we allocated our marketing, and that has now gone completely the other side. People are now walking. That's why you see a massive increase to 50% of fatalities on our roads in the Western Cape. And
I'm looking here at your graph, in fact, where you've tabulated, it's more of a table than a graph, the number of fatalities over three periods, 2021, 2022, 74 pedestrians died. And then there was a drop in 2022, 2023 at 63 people who died on the roads who were pedestrians. This year, that's risen by more than 20. 84 of them have died. What unique challenges does the issue of pedestrians being killed at such an alarming rate present? Because often when we think about road safety, we think of the roadblocks, people being stopped, tires checked, breathalyzing drivers, etc. But with pedestrians, is it slightly more complicated?
It is more complicated, Tambegin, because what you see now, we've allocated traffic officers in their vehicles doing operations. I myself have spent time over 10 days traveling across the province with traffic officers, because we looked at previous year's data. This year, pedestrians or people decided to walk and drink, which is completely different than previous years. And that is what you see. So a traffic officer drive on the road, stopping you and me or anybody drinking and driving, pulling them over. Pedestrians have now opted to walk and drink. And that is a massive challenge. And we obviously need to relook at our strategies going forward, because our strategy was based on previous data, years. And what we've also noticed, and a new trend has emerged, previous years on all our data, accidents occurred or crashes occurred at night. What we're now seeing, it has occurred throughout the day. So the allocation of resources, allocation of traffic officers and of roadblocks operations based on previous data, rightfully so, that is now the trend over the last 8 weeks has completely changed. 24 hours, the change of the time crashes and accidents happen. So there has also been a big shift to the time and day of accidents and crashes.
I understand the year-on-year comparison based on the festive period, because there is a lot of conversation right across the country about levels of safety then. But I wonder, just in terms of the trends that you've seen over this past December and early January, how much does the rate at which people die on the roads, be it those who are driving or are in vehicles and those, as we've been speaking about, those who are walking, pedestrians, does that really differ significantly to other times in the year?
It does differ significantly for the simple reason there are many more vehicles on the road. When I was in Mossel Bay, the mayor of Mossel Bay were telling me they estimated 100,000 people coming into Mossel Bay over that festive period. Those amount of road users are not in Mossel Bay throughout the year. So it does matter, and it does have a big increase because there are more users on the road. But just if I can just add on that point, which is a very important point, the driver behavior throughout the year should not be changing. Because if you drive during the year, you should drive the same manner throughout the year. And what we've also picked up is the increase in fraudulent behavior, like one of the other provinces earlier also indicated. We've arrested 105 people for fraudulent documentation. Those documentation were not defrauded on the 16th of December. They were defrauded before the time. So the actions of individuals traveling across the province were planned in advance, and we certainly hope that our judicial system will punish those individuals, because those individuals with fraudulent documentation was clearly planned to drive illegally on the road before December. Similar to the unlicensed vehicle, 13,000 unlicensed vehicles offences was issued, 5,000 fines for tire defects. These are not somebody's car didn't become defective on the 16th of December. That happened before and throughout the year. So the message to people is 4,800 cars was fined for driving with tire defects. There is 4,500 cars at risk of having crashes because their tires is defect. The tires are basically smooth. That car should not be on the road. And that car did not go defect on the 15th or the 10th or the 4th of December when those individuals went on holiday. That happened throughout the year. So people need to change their behavior, look at their vehicles, change their tires throughout the years, and make sure the vehicles are roadworthy, because these are the things that lead to crashes.
As a place that's also a tourism hub at this time of the year, or at the end of the year, in fact, for the holidays, has the Western Cape paid much attention to perhaps the ratio of offences committed by people who are from the Western Cape, who live and work there, versus those who are coming in for a few days or a week or two to enjoy the holidays?
We are going into detail. We've stopped nearly 300,000 vehicles over the period. So our analysts, our data crushers are going into those numbers to make sure that we get it right and to understand exactly who, where, what time, and where they came from. But the behavior needs to change regardless of whether you're from the Western Cape or whether you're from Gauteng. Because you're going back to Gauteng, you're going back to KZN, you're going back to the Eastern Cape. Doesn't matter where you are in the country. Your driving behavior needs to be consistently good and needs to change. It doesn't change your behavior because you're going to a different province on holiday. But we are looking at those numbers. We are going to deep dive in those numbers to have a better understanding of where the persons are from. But our driving behavior as a country needs to improve significantly, particularly drinking and driving.
Ricardo Mackenzie, good to have your time. Thank you so much.